Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle video tutorial on Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop 221. Same can be done with earlier versions as well. Now I'm just going to create a swirly sort of abstract design background like this, which you can of course use as overlays, maybe textures and much more. So I'm just going to start with this. However, of course, as with all things, I can extend it even further. But the basic approach to it, let's just go right back to the beginning, and I'm just going to here, edit and fill. I'm just going to go with the white background. So white background, and I'm going to fill it with something. It could be an image, could be anything. But I'm going to go with a gradient. So I'm going to go with a gradient, and I'm just going to use a very basic one of the legacy gradients. And I'm using difference, and also use radial, linear, and just simply create your design. And you can apply over and over again to create a nice colourful design. So that's a start point for that swirly image. Well, the next thing to do is to go to filter and go down to pixelate and pointillize. So pointillize there, and you get these lovely little dots. Now you can make it as big or as small as you want. You should notice also, if you want a black background, just make certain that over here it's black. If you want it white, obviously make that white, green, etc. So now I'm just going to set it to about 40 odd, that sort of thing, so you can get lots of little dots. It's a pity that it doesn't work with other shapes as well. Be really great if Pointillize didn't just do obviously circular designs. So I've got that design there. Well, what you can then do is you can use oil paint. Now you might not have oil paint, because I found an issue that if you don't have your GPU on, if you go to preferences and performance, and you go up there and you got use graphic processor. If that's not on, you will not properly. I never know, to be honest, anymore, but you won't probably get the filter and stylize and oil paint. So with that, what you can see with oil paint, I love oil paint. It's just a really great feel. Stylization, set it to the max, set cleanliness to the max as well, and just leave the rest. They're not even used because the lighting is not used there. Click it OK. What you can also do, you can apply it a couple of times. You don't have to apply. Lots of these filters you can apply it multiple times. So simply just go to filter, oil paint, and you get a nice sort of smearing, and it becomes, obviously you can see it follows the same sort of general pattern design. It doesn't change, so which is always a pity. However, what you can also do, you can create an action. I've actually created an action for this: oil paint, vibrance, maximum, etc. And you can apply it quickly. And I'm going to do that a little bit later. However, I'm just going to go through to the next stage, which is filter, and then go down to other. It's always tucked away. It's always a pity really, because maximum, I love maximum. It's tucked away in other. Should be in the blur or something, I think personally, because it's a very nice blurring effect. So I'm going to go with roundness, and I'm going to set it to about 12. Obviously it depends on the image, but you can see the result here. You can see the nice blurry effect. Now what you can do, that's a really nice effect anyway. At that point, I mean, sometimes I would just say that's enough. However, what you can do, you can go to edit and fade maximum, and then go to normal, and I'm just going to go down to difference. And what you get is this nice difference between, you get this lovely sort of nice spindly sort of textures all the way through this. And I mean, I think that's a great little texture anyway. And you could turn that into a black and white design very simply via the image menu, adjustments and black and white. So click OK. And what you can do, you can now, of course, you can go back to filter. You can use stylize again, just quickly blur it, oil paint, make it slightly more blurry. And also if you want to boost up the colors a bit, I mean, it's okay, but you can also, of course, go to adjustments, you go to levels, maybe go to vibrance. I always like vibrance. So let's push the vibrance up so you can really brighten it up a bit. And of course you can do exactly the same thing again. Simply go to filter and go to other and maximum. And then you see you've got this nice blurry smear effect. I mean, that's just a lovely effect as well. And you can vary that, of course. You can increase that if you want, or just keep it around about the same as before. Maybe 35, up to you. But what you can do, click OK, and again, go to edit and fade. And again, instead of normal, use difference. And you can see what happens then. You get this nice little gap, like a contour effect appearing. So you get these nice little strands of colour. Click OK. And you can go, of course, back again, filter, maximum. I'm just going to apply it again, and then edit and fade. And again, difference. You can see a pattern here, can't you? And you can now see, again, you've got this design. Now, what you can also do, of course, you can go to filter and you can go to stylize and oil paint. Apply that a couple of times so you can create it a bit more, make it nice, smeary and blending. And again, always if you want adjustments, you go to levels, maybe tweak that if you want, click OK. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use an action. Basically, the action does all that, does everything the same. So it's basically oil paint, vibrance, maximum, fade, oil paint, vibrance, and you could, of course, continue that on, that sort of thing. So just a couple of oil paints, vibrance, and you can record an action via the actions panel, which you can find in window and actions. You can record it simply by just clicking down here. And it's just nice to run it, because quite often these effects I think are great if you reapply them 15, 20 times. And that's what I'm just going to do. And it makes it a bit quicker than just going through all the functionality. So you can see it just does the same as before. And you can see as you do it, it becomes more and more pronounced, this contour effect. And you can see you can actually make it very intense. Of course, there's a point where it probably just will just not change much. But I'm just going to run it a few more times. You can see I just play it via there. Now what you can do at the end, you can of course add a few more filter and stylize, oil paint. A couple of those. And what you can then do, of course, you don't have to keep it like that. You can change it. You can go to filter and liquify. And now with liquify, you can distort it. Of course, you could use other warping effects as well. Modify the design and change the settings over here, the size. I'm just applying a very large 1000 odd brush. And I can distort those lines and designs just like that. Click apply. And what you can do, use that as a source again. Simply go over here in the action or just run through the steps again. You can always go here, go to stylize, oil paint again. And then go to filter, other and maximum. And then you can see you get these lovely lines. And then of course what you can do then, again, exactly the same as before, edit and fade and difference. And this time you've got these lovely lines that are starting to appear. And again, I'm going to, instead of doing all that, I'm just going to run it through with this action that I've created. So you can see you can create many different types of swirly designs simply by just having different sources for your design. And you can see you can get this really lovely intense line effect all the way through. Now what you can also do once you've done that, you can of course modify it in other ways, maybe turn it into black and white. So go to image, adjustments, and just down here to black and white. You don't have to keep it color, so you can see you can just change that, maybe go for the yellow, and you can see you get a lovely line design like that. Nice wood design if you want, sort of wood texture. Now what you can also do is of course you can duplicate this design. So you've got this design here, go over here, now go to layers. You can see it's just a background layer. I'm just going to deselect it, so it's just a standard layer, and you can duplicate that. So duplicate that layer, and now I can resize it. Resize that, resize it, and then go to, again, difference, maybe create some very intense designs, maybe go for lighten or screen. And then you of course do it again, hold down the Alt or Option key to duplicate that design, and you can see the effect like that. And of course you make, also what you can do, of course you've got this design here. Let's just go back. Now this is just the line I had before, just all the lines. What I can do, I can apply maybe a blur, and I can then run through the process again. So filters, go down here to blur, Gaussian blur, and I can use that as a source. So that design there. So I've got all that lovely colour all across the screen, and I can again manipulate this. I can go over here, levels, maybe boost it up a bit before I do. So I've got that design, then go back to the actions, and I can just run through those actions again, doing exactly the same. Oil paint, vibrance, maximum, fade, etc. And you can see some very intense line designs, very quick. Actually, it's quite very intense, that colour. And of course you can always recolour it. So if you want to, you and saturation, maybe decide, you know what, I don't want garish green, maybe not. Maybe go for a blue or saturation, reduce it down, manipulate this in many different ways. Or maybe go to image adjustments and colour lookup. So you can always go and add film stock or one of these ones, blue tone, and so on and so on. Well, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials all the time about Photoshop, Illustrator, Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer, and many, many other applications. Also, if you've got any questions, comments, please let me know. Always nice to hear. If I've done something wrong or something you didn't quite understand or I went too fast or something that might be different on your machine to mine. Because quite often I always assume, and maybe wrongly, that everyone's system is fairly similar. But of course, sometimes some features are not available. Sometimes they are. I don't know. And likewise, especially with the toolbar when you've customised it. Anyway, also a dislike or like, always appreciated either way. Thank you much.